Dan Illman, Mike Beer with the third of three stakes races at Belmont Park on Thursday to kick off Belmont Stakes Week. It's race number 8 for the 2-year-olds going 5.5 furlongs. It's the Tremont. $150,000 is the purse. Let's take a look at this field. It wouldn't be a 2-year-old stakes race this time of year without Wesley Ward being represented. He's got the morning line favorite, the 4, Nay Hudson, who, surprise, surprise, was a debut winner for Wesley at Keeneland.
Yeah, debut winner at a short price to boot. We've seen that story before, Dan. It's interesting. This horse has a lot of turf in his pedigree, but he handled dirt just fine.
Going to throw up the Timeform US pace projector. And as we talked about in the Philly race, the Astoria, keep in mind these horses are still figuring out their running styles. Take this pace projector with a grain of salt. 2 of a kind, gate to wire winner of the debut at Churchill Downs. Nay Hudson, the 4, gate to wire winner at Keeneland. The number 8, Zelensky Strong, very fast at Gulfstream. It really comes down to who breaks best to make the lead.
That's right. The Wesley Ward horse, the 4, is going to show speed because that's what they do. It may not matter if 2 of a kind breaks as sharply as he did in his debut, Dan. If he does that again in here, he'll be in front.
We've seen a couple of runaway winners at short distances, very impressive debut winners. One of them was up at Woodbine. That's the 1, Stay Honor Good Sign, who debuted going 4.5 and was no secret for Mark Casse. Going off at 6-5. Let's watch the Honor Code Hope, who just speed popped this field. And turning into the stretch, you see this flashy guy just stretch away. 54 buyer speed figure, but a dominant performance. Now he's got to try dirt. Honor Code 13% winners with dirt sprinters. There is some synth on the bottom of this pedigree. How do you feel about the surface switch?
Yeah, I'm most concerned about it because, obviously it's the big question mark with this horse. I just kind of felt like he'd be a good enough price perhaps to compensate for it, Dan. Well, he looked really good winning first time out. He just flat outpaced that field early. You saw the horses that were chasing him get so tired through the stretch, and a couple of horses come from out of it to run second and third. This horse ran really well first time out. Now it's just a question of, can he run as well as they switch him over to dirt?
Now, this horse had clean air in his debut. Contrast that with the number 2, Little JP, who's stretching out off a 2-furlong race at Parks. We'll show that race right now. It only went 20 seconds or so. Little JP's from post position 2, and he gets pinched and bumped badly leaving the gate. And for a 2-year-old to recover and show speed and then win the way he did, it was pretty nice. This is a giant step up in class. He's got a little bit of pedigree. He's a half-brother to Gold Rush Dancer, who won the Long Acres Mile.
Yeah, he did some good things in here. I mean, you get crushed at the start like that, going 2 furlongs, it's almost always a disaster. Not for this horse because he was just too fast. Who knows what's going to happen now then as they step him up and stretch him out to 5.5, but he ran well first time out.
The 3 is Put the Past Behind. This one was a debut winner at Laurel going 4.5 furlongs. And what I liked about this one is not only did he beat 2 minor next out winners, but he did so coming from slightly off the pace. He's proven he can pass a horse and win. Let's watch this race at Laurel. Duran Barbosa, very promising apprentice rider aboard. This horse is a big, strong horse, weighed in at over 1,100 pounds for his debut, and he inhales the winner late.
I liked this debut from him, and you're right, Dan. He just seems so professional from the start because he got out of the gate on time in here. But that number 3 there, who, by the way, is one of the horses that came back to win his next start, that horse just outran him to the lead. And this horse was unfazed by that. He just tracked him, and you saw him overwhelm that horse in the stretch. Really, really nice debut.
You mentioned Nay Hudson though before. It's a turf pedigree to be sure. This horse bred in Ireland by Nay Never. The Dam was a grade 2 winner on the turf. And this horse just showed good speed in the debut. And what I liked about it as we watched Nay Hudson score at Keeneland was he broke to the lead. He cleared to the inside under John Velasquez. And then it looked like he relaxed very nicely just for a moment or two. And then when Johnny pushed the button, was too much for this field. The runner-up would come back to run second in the Kentucky Juvenile at Churchill Downs with a 62 buyer. Your typical Ward first-time out performer during the spring meet at Keeneland, but I don't think this horse is completely speed crazy.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that. I mean, listen, I don't have any knocks on the debut that we just watched there. I thought this horse ran really well. Whether or not I would want a short price on him in this race, that's another question. We'll see how they wind up betting it. Obviously, he can win here. I kind of wanted to find some other horses.
I like the guts and courage that the number 5 Valenzaday showcased in his career debut for trainer Rudy Rodriguez. We're going to show that race from Belmont on May the 12th. Now, this horse showed good speed, went right after the big favorite trained by Todd Pletcher by Wesley Ward, pardon me, on the turn, and he looks like he's beat. He's outpaced at the 3/16. He's late to change leads, but once he does so, he's able to get this horse. He never quit.
Yeah, it's true. I'll give him some credit for staying on like that, because sometimes when you do some chasing like that to a horse, it could just really get to you in the stretch there. But this horse showed no quit at all, and he actually wound up winning the race pretty easily, Dan. He's the only horse, we just don't run any 2-year-old races in New York anymore, much before Saratoga. So he's the only one who broke his maiden over this track, and he ran really well doing it.
Up from Evangeline Downs is the 6 Bisping, who debuted in gate-to-wire fashion in this race, going 4.5 furlongs. Another one of those runaway winners. He just beat the gate. And then next thing you know, he's way out in front. He's going to win by 4 lengths as the 2-5 favorite. Only a 48 buyer speed figure. He's now with Rob Atras, a high percentage trainer here in New York. And this horse is going to fall sort of under the radar in terms of wagering.
Yeah, it feels like he's probably going to get overlooked in here. Maybe that's deservedly so, Dan. He obviously made no mistakes in this race, but it's not very fast. Feels like he just beat a pretty bad field that day. I'm assuming this is a pretty significant step up in class for him. But as you've already mentioned, he's probably going to get overlooked. And he did show good speed first time out.
The 7 2-of-a-kind figures to take some money in this race based on a 71 buyer speed figure debut victory at Churchill, going 5/8 of a mile, where he just broke sharp. And the next thing you know, he was clear on the lead and he kept right on going. This pedigree is just all speed and precocity. He's a full brother to Psychoanalyze, who was graded stakes place, I believe, in the Sanford at Saratoga. He's a half to another stakes place dirt sprinter named Complexifier. It just seems this family's all early and all speed.
Yeah, and this horse certainly fits right into that mold. He was really fast in that debut, broke from the rail, and he just broke like an absolute rocket right to the front there, and nobody got anywhere near him in there. I feel like that was a pretty bad field that he was in, Dan. So we'll see what happens in this race. He's probably the horse to beat in here. I don't think he holds like some kind of huge edge on this field, though.
And talk about a speed pedigree. Completing the fields, the 8 Zelensky Strong, typical Florida speed pedigree. This is a half to Jackson, who was a grade 3 stakes winner down in Florida. The Dam was a stakes winning sprinter, and Zelensky Strong, boy, just destroyed a field at Gulfstream back on April 22nd, going 4.5. Let's watch this race, because he just pours it on in the stretch. He wins by over 10. The 6th place finisher would come back, drop in against Phillies, and graduate in the next start with a 41 buyer speed figure. Maybe not the greatest field in the world Zelensky Strong beat. We see him on his left lead going down to the wire. He didn't need to change leads. He won easy.
Yeah, I mean, when you win like that, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter who's behind you. He just blew that field out in that race. He came over and bumped the horse pretty hard at the start too, Dan. He just ran right through it. Visually impressive. Another horse stepping way up in class for this, it feels like. And, opinions will differ on this. I feel like in races like this, being drawn to the outside, I think it's a disadvantage.
Let's before we take a look at our top picks, I want to throw up the subscribe button. Please subscribe to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Lots of great content coming up Belmont Stakes week. Lots of potential in this race from a speed standpoint. There's plenty of speed in this race. We'll take a look at our top selections. In Ward, I trust Mike. No Nay Hudson, maybe not as visually impressive as some of the others in here, but I liked how he showed enough speed to get to the front, took a little bit of a breather, sprinted on home. Stay on her good side. Very interesting, moving from synth to dirt's got to break from the rail.
Yeah, I don't mind him breaking from the rail. I prefer him to be on the inside here, Dan. To me, it's all about whether he handles dirt or not. I think if he does, he can go with these horses.
1-4-5-7 for Mike, 4-5-7-3 for me. It's the Tremont. Maybe some stars of tomorrow in race number 8 at Belmont on Thursday. Good luck.